I
do
work out. It just happens.
It just happens.
Not a no. And then even once I get up out of the bed and start walking, there's still some limping. It's still not a real walk. It's still like, so it's nothing sexy about
like a little
getting out of bed. With the bonnet still straight up, a limp of a walk, rolling into the bathroom.
I'm gonna have to get it together before I start dating again.
Yeah, so before you start dating, be careful.
I'm gonna have to get it together before I start dating again.
And if you got a young thing, so
I know, because you know how, you know.
This gave me a really good visual.
I'm telling you, this is literally what I look like when I get out of bed. It's really that. And so it's hard when your husband look at you and like, he probably saying, look at this.
This is my guy. This is my guy. This is my life.
Because, you know, I always pride myself on the fact that my husband is older than I am. Like, this 8 years. And so sometimes I look at myself and like, just when I thought he had a sweet young thing.
I'm about to say, what do you really is PYT?
It's probably over.
Not for the first 15 minutes of the day.
You're right. Yeah,
After that, give you 15 minutes.
I knew it's a good apartment.
That's
By
right.
noon, I'm good.
That's
I'm
right.
a sweet young thing, he married. But before then,
Right.
He looks at me and says,
First 15 minutes of the day.
Oh, wow.
But you know what? But I am unapologetic about who I am as a black woman over 40.
Absolutely.
How about that?
Amen.
Absolutely.
And that's what the show is about today. We are talking about being unapologetic of being who you are, whether it be a woman, man, heterosexual, homosexual, all of the above, young, beautiful, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Just being you. And that's what we're talking about today.
After you reach 30, I think that really sets in.
It does.
You really give no F's.
You
It's
don't.
just
You have
like,
none to give.
This is me.
Hold on.
And take it how you think. Is it after 30?
I think so.
After 30 or like 30-ish?
I'll say 30-ish.
Because I feel like
Yeah, exactly.
jumping into 30, it was like a little...
usually people are
It was still a little
traumatized.
shaky.
Yeah. I think for some people it could start then, but I don't think it really starts to hit it until late 30s. And then, because then when you get to 40, you really start to realize,
Right. I'm sorry, I cared about that when.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dang, so.
Yeah, boo. It's coming.
No, but I don't now. So I'm saying.
But I think it depends on your life, life circumstances.
It does depend on your personality
and
all
life
those things.
circumstances.
And your life circumstances.
Because a lot of people are really
Because you have
traumatized.
none to give now.
A lot of people are traumatized about turning 30.
I am a little.
Yeah.
Are you traumatized?
It makes
A
me
lot
a
of
little
people-
nervous about not being able to say I'm 20 something.
No, that did. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, but it's so much better
Look
than
at it
that.
like it's almost like a badge of honor. It's a privilege.
I mean,
especially it's saying that I am an African American woman living in Baltimore City and I made it to
Oh, yeah,
30.
you gotta think about that.
well,
sis.
please, I feel that way every year. I'm a Baltimore, black woman from Baltimore. who
Right.
Made it to see
And you
another
still
year.
here.
And I'm
Period.
still here.
Right.
Right.
You're right about that, though. I mean, just being a black woman, period, just all the things that we deal with on a day-to-day, it is a blessing to make it each year, each day, or whatever the case may be. And I think that one of the things that we try to talk about, or at least, I don't say preach because that's not really the right word, but that we, I think, what's the word I'm looking for? Not preach, but
Advocate.
we do advocate
Emphasize.
for, and emphasize on wellness, health and wellness, and being
Use your
whole
social
within.
terms.
Yeah, like, it's important. And so for us, the hard part sometimes is the balance of it all.
Right.
And the reason why we have our special guest here, Jennifer, is because she has a business that promotes health and wellness. She is a licensed social worker.
Yes.
Can you introduce yourself and just give them a little bit about who you are?
So I'm switching from personal to professional. Okay.
Yes, you gotta be professional here, man. We're talking about your business.
So hello out there. I am the founder and
owner
of J. Pope and Associates LLC Mental Health and Wellness. I am a clinically licensed social worker here in the good old state of Maryland. And my practice is a private practice where we provide individual, family, and couples counseling from anyone between the ages of 5 to senior plus. I don't like to put an age limit on the end of that.
Yeah, because the seniors need it too. Right.
Absolutely. So it's a new business that I just started a little over a year ago. I just went full-fledged full-time in February. And opening my office tomorrow.
Yes,
Grand opening
tomorrow.
So
No black woman.
it's still
From
new.
12 to
Still
5. Look on my page for information.
She was trying.
Thank you, Kristen. Thank
You
you.
know how your little sister.
Right.
You know, in case y'all didn't know, this is her little sister.
Yes, I'm also the older sister to Kristen.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah.
she thinks but she's not.
She thinks she the older sister.
Right.
But other than Kristen's page, where can they find your
Right.
information?
I'm sorry. So, if anyone is looking for any information on my business, you can go to my Facebook page, which is J.Pope Connections, or my Instagram page, which is also J.Pope Connections, or you can visit my website, which is www.jpopeconnections.com.
Yay.
Awesome. And let me just give the number to call the number just in case someone wants to call. I mean, we're not here to do therapy today, but just in case you have questions.
Yes,
you know, I just want them to
my
be-
office hours.
Right.
Right.
9 to 5.
Right.
Like, I don't want Big Red to come out, but let me give y'all the number. It's 404-436-1277 if you want to call and speak to Jennifer about anything but therapy, maybe like where her office is. Anyway, because you know people how the people do.
Yeah.
People call in and just get crazy.
Yeah.
So this
It happens
morning,
often.
My boss has said to me,
Right. You like, whoa.
But you might have a question about starting therapy.
Or starting a business.
Yeah,
right?
starting
Yeah.
a business.
Right. I mean, that's
How to
important.
pick a
What
therapist.
I am noticing is that a lot more people are reaching out to get mental health services, which is great. I think the stigma is kind of dispersing a little bit. Before, a lot of people from our community, our culture, believe that therapy was for white women. That's what white women do. I've heard that more times than I can count. But now, specifically here in our area, in our community, we have a lot of trauma. And, people are realizing that they're not coping with it in the healthiest of ways. So they are reaching out to mental health programs and professionals, which is great. That's the hardest part, just making the phone call.
Right.
To set up that first appointment. That's the biggest part of the hill.
But what do you think
it
is
happening
helping?
more.
What do you think is helping get them to make the call, though?
We have so many programs here in Baltimore. You see advertisements. A lot of people do a lot of community outreach, so that's helping as well. I know that the insurance companies are really pushing case managers to reach out and let people know, well, these are your benefits. Take full advantage of what you have. So that's helpful as well. But I also think that people are kind of getting to their breaking point, and when their back is against the wall and they've tried everything and they don't know what to do, they're like, well, this isn't going to kill me. Let me try and see how this works. So also, people who are actually having therapy are letting other people know, like, I am in therapy and this helped me do X, Y, and Z. Or somebody might say, oh, well, you were here and I see you're doing so much better. What happened? How did it work? And, people are actually sharing their stories. They're actually being more transparent about being involved in therapy. So I think that's a big part too.
Did you, as far as starting a business, because I think it's one thing to have a degree, you have the license and all that good stuff, but starting a business, and I hope you don't mind me sharing it, you're a single mom.
Go ahead.
Hi,
Jordan.
right,
Hi, Julian. I'm a baby.
Not just one, but twins. And
Yes.
so I think for some people, when we think of being unapologetic about, one, leaving your job, 2, stepping out on faith, and 3, thinking about, okay, and I also need to be able to provide for my children. What made you make the final step to say, you know what, I got to do this?
I woke up one morning and went to work, and I went to a meeting where it was all of the supervisors at my place of employment, and our director was just, going over, the goals that we needed to achieve, how we were going to go about doing it, and just all of these things that were coming up, and we got this audit, and we got this and this and this, and she said something close to like, well, I know it's a lot, however, the work has to be done. And it really kind of hit me, like, y'all trying to kill me. I worked in a very high stress job, and in that environment, there was little room for self-care. And I literally felt heavy every day, heavy, to the point where I would get home and I had nothing left to give my children. I was completely depleted. So it weighed on me for a while. It wasn't a decision that I made immediately, because when you are in a position where you're making a good salary, you really feel like you have that job security, it's very hard to step away from it. It's one thing to get laid off.
Right.
It's something else to put in a resignation.
Right. And be like, and then come back on Monday like, about
Like,
that.
yeah. Because I had this letter typed
Right.
for months. For months. I went back and forth with that decision for months. I talked to other colleagues and friends of mine who had their own business, and they like, Jennifer, what are you waiting for? And I'm like, but I got this, and I got these kids, and I got, when you're a single parent and everything kind of falls on you. I mean, don't get me wrong, I had the help of my parents. But, these are my children and, my responsibility. So you don't want to make the wrong move. You can't afford to make the wrong move. And I kept saying, if it was just me, I would do this without blinking an eye. But when you have children, it's very hard. And I had a discussion with my parents, and they were fully supportive of me doing it. And I had to talk with my dad specifically. He's like, what are you waiting for? Because you're miserable. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Because I'm, coming home, explaining to them, like, these situations that I get in. He's like, what are you waiting for? Just do it. He was like, you'll be fine. Right. And I'm like,
you sure?
What do you mean just do it? But he was like, no, literally just do it. And I have a picture. It's a black art photo. I can't remember who the painter is, but it's called Step Out on Faith, and it's a woman stepping off of a cliff. And she's blindfolded, and I guess it's the hand of, Jesus or something, like right there, just like, I got you. And I say, with great reward comes great risk. So you got to take those chances. And I believed in myself enough to propel myself to do it. I just have to actually do it. One of the hardest things I ever had to do.
Not bad.
I really went back and forth about it. But, I'm more so in the mindset of building wealth. I want to build a business to leave my children. I want somewhere for my godchild to come and say she can work. I want them to, carry on a legacy. It's nothing wrong with working a 9 to 5. There's nothing wrong with dedicating your life to a place of employment for 30, 40 years and retiring. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just not for me. Right. It wasn't my thing. And I've truly, I've known it for a long time, but I've just been going with the flow because you kind of get complacent. Right. You get, used to it, and then you say, okay, well, what's going to happen with my money? Right. What's going to happen with this? And you really, truly are taking a leap of faith. Right. And keeping your fingers crossed and hoping you don't sink, And
did you think about, because I know, as a parent, you're going to think about insurance, you're going to think about,
oh my God.
I know, right? All of these things that come with the 9 to 5.
A lot of that stopped me.
And everyone is not equipped to be a business owner.
Right.
And so I think is there any advice you can give to someone who is thinking about taking that jump out there, and like, what is maybe something that you didn't know that you could say, you know what, I do wish I knew these 2 things that really, if I would have known then, and of course you learn from them and then you grow from them, but for somebody who's thinking about doing that, what would you say, like maybe 2 things that that you didn't know?
If you're not disciplined enough to follow your dreams, you are not cut out to be a business owner. There were certain steps I had to take to get to where I am with owning this business. So I had a long list of things I had to cross off, T's I had to cross, I's I had to dot before I got here. And if anytime you feel like you sway off of that path, then that's probably not for you. You really have to motivate and encourage yourself to see it through. A few things that I learned in this process is there is no manual to tell you how to start your business. You have to network. Luckily, I had 2 or 3 really, really good friends and colleagues that I went to say, hey, I did this. Is this okay? Or, okay, I go to this website, I have to file this, or I have to do this. they kind of showed me the way to do it. That was important because it could have been a multitude of things that I missed.
Right.
And because there's no manual to doing this, there's no right or wrong way to do it. There's just steps that have to be taken before you get to the next step.
Gotcha. And does that, and then does the process, was it all would you change a thing? Like, if you could go back, would you still have done the same thing that you did, to get here? Or would you say, you know what, if I could do it all over, I would have done?
I don't think I would have done anything differently. I don't think so. I think everything kind of prepared me to be at this point. And there were challenges. It was so many things that happened since I started undergrad that could have just stopped me from doing what I do. A lot of people ask me, what motivates you? I don't give myself an option to fail. If I give myself a goal, I'm going to reach my goal. I might not do it in the timeline that I give myself, but I'm going to reach that goal. Right. So, those roadblocks that come, you cry it out when it happened and you keep it moving. Right. You keep on pushing. And I think that's what makes people successful, not giving up and staying the course. That's what makes people successful, because we all have failures. We're all going to, have things that sidetrack us, that throw us off. But the thing is, you have to keep going. You have to keep doing it until you get to your goal. And then once you get to that goal, you might come 2 or 3 more goals. Right. So having my own private practice has always been kind of like my end goal. That's always what I wanted to do since high school. I knew that I wanted to be a therapist. I knew I wanted to have a practice. I knew I wanted to have a practice that had other associates. It was a vision I had. It was a dream that I really followed. And just even thinking back, it's been a process.
I bet. And I want, did you think about, like you saying, just from having a dream from being so long ago? I think sometimes for all of us, there's certain things that you might have. When you're younger, there's certain things you say, I want to do that. I wanted to be an architect. Now, I don't know why I can't draw. I'm not good at math. Don't like science. I don't know where it came from. But I'm just saying, like, there's certain things. But you know how you just have these hopes and dreams. Certain things, like, I just want to do that. But you don't really know because you haven't really tapped into what your vision is, your purpose, and all that when you're young sometimes. Some people know at a young age. But for many of us, for some folks, they really know off the break. Because you are also a therapist. And so is that something like same as Jennifer? Did you find that was that your calling, or did you, when did you know?
I actually knew I wanted to be a teacher. And I'm a teacher. When I went to school, it's funny because when I was in undergrad, I was doing a winter break job. And a woman asked me, well, what are you going to do after you graduate? And I was like, I don't know what it's called, but I see myself having an office with a file cabinet and files in it about people.
Really?
And I kid you not. And I was like, and I go into my file and I open my files and I'm helping people. I was like, but I don't know what it's called.
Wow. And but that's the thing.
And I didn't know anything about social work. I didn't know anything about, I knew I wanted to teach, but I knew that was my vision, was to have an office with files to help people.
When you have those type of situations, you have internships, that makes a world of difference. I went to Dunbar High School. Hey, poets. And we had, of course, and we had internships. And I was a healthcare delivery systems major, and I initially wanted to be a neonatal nurse.
Okay.
And so one of my placements was the labor and delivery unit at Hopkins, where we would go for half of the day. And I did that, and I was like, I can't do this. So I value that experience and having that, before I went to school and then get on the floor and it's like, oh God, I can't do this. So, that was helpful. And then I said, I want to be a lawyer. And then I looked at the requirements for a lawyer and I'm like, I ain't
so you start going in the list and be like, well, wait a minute, I think I'm called to do this.
But that's why
I knew I wanted to help people. I knew I wanted to help people. And thinking back, in hindsight, I was so groomed for this. My godmother is a social worker. My grandmother was a social worker. She dragged me up on Indianapolis to hear the bills be made and, you know, laws be made. And she knew this delegate. We went to all these community organization programs and events, like all across the city. I hated it as a kid.
Right.
But the seeds were definitely being planted, you know, because these are all the things I'm kind of involved in now. Yeah, it's crazy. I gave her the blues. I never wanted to go.
Yeah.
I never wanted to go.
You know, of course, because you know, as a kid, nobody who wants to be up in the
Like, who wants to sit in Annapolis and hear y'all talk
honestly,
about
get
laws?
crazy, but that's it.
I don't want to
Right.
hear this. But I knew how that process worked
Right.
because we did these things, and I knew about being engaged in the community and the importance of just talking to people. Because although my grandmother wasn't a licensed therapist, she was the community therapist. Right. She helped so many parents in her community, right. You know, buy their first house, get over the loss of a loved one, go through school. She had students from different colleges stay at her house. She had this huge house, and once her kids left, you know, she had rooms to rent. She would rent out the rooms to college students. So going to see grandma for the weekend, I'm, you know, talking to somebody who's going to college just from another country.
You had your file cabinet in your little
Look,
what's somebody's name on the folder?
I'm trying to tell you, it
the
was.
First thing you need to do is.
It was definitely, you know, definitely there.
She was running the summer
time.
house.
Right.
She was running the summer house.
Listen, never a dull moment. You
Yeah.
hear me? Never a dull moment. But those things were, you know, set in stone at a very young age.
And I wonder if that's like, I mean, for you, was it the same? I mean, Miss Makeup Artist, because you know, well, you know, you her sister, so I'm sure you know.
Kristen, I'm not surprised Kristen does what she does at all.
Right.
Because she always has done stuff like that. I'm not going to tell y'all what she did to my Teddy Ruxpin and Barbie, but, you know.
She was always artistic.
Always artistic.
Very.
Creative.
She was different. Yeah.
She was different. No, but did you feel the same way? Did you feel like that was your like? Did you know your calling was necessarily makeup, or was it some sort of around that, some sort of service?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that it was always that it was makeup. I think I knew I liked helping people too. Like I like people feeling good. Like I don't like when people are, you know, saying. And I love the feeling that doing makeup gives people. Like I love that response and that action after when they see themselves like, oh my god, this is so nice, I feel so good, and this that build up in confidence. But it was the same thing, like even, you know, knowing that my grandmother was always helping people and doing things, like I knew there were certain things that I didn't want to do, like she had us going through the projects all the time and, you know, feeding people.
Were you telling people how they face their eyebrows run together?
Like, you know what, now that I think about it, remember grandma had that food co-op?
Yeah.
Where they would give out the food and everything. She had a whole building. Yeah.
So I knew
So service was out. Service was a part of
it. My business of doing makeup and skincare and waxing. Jennifer and I still partner and feed the homeless and you know, do different type of activities and find ways to give back. So I think it's that little piece that she instilled in us that definitely won't go away. But ever since I was little, I was planning to make up.
Right.
She's always been artistic.
But my mother never left the house without makeup on.
Okay.
So every day I would be sitting in the bathroom looking at her, putting her whole face on like, this is it. I can't wait to go in your makeup. And I would do that in high school, middle school. I would take her little eyeliner, wear it, forget to take it off by the time I got home and get in trouble. That kind of thing. It's always been there.
You always been artistic, like even with like drawing and creating things.
I like colors.
Yeah, we know, and bling.
She was one of those kids. Yes.
But you know, that's why I want, like, well, my dream hasn't really been realized yet. So I feel like for me, when you in that in between, because I was thinking about Jennifer, when you trying to make that transition of, you know, do I stay somewhere, do I, you know, do I leave or what's, I mean, I think we probably all have been faced with whether to do it or not, you know, what's the next transition or what's the next move. And I think for me, it's always been acting. Like that's always been a thing that I wanted to do. And I think that sometimes you do have to check in with the right timing, because like you're saying, it took some time. You had the letter written and you was ready to go, but sometimes it does take time. So I think I wonder sometimes if in yourself of who you are as a woman and being comfortable with who you are, knowing when to make certain moves and steps, because it's still strategy.
I feel like when you get there, you know, it's so hard to explain.
But you knew you had that feeling like you knew.
Yeah, it's almost like you can't even contain it anymore. He's like, yes, like take it off of me. I gotta get out of here. It's really that kind of a feeling. And like I said, I had so many excuses why I kept putting it off. And I would just complain. The same stuff would keep happening over and over again. And I'm like, you got to do something.
Right.
But it's just that complacency. And it's also a bit of fear, too, because it's you stepping into something that's unknown. It's something that's not guaranteed.
Right.
And, you know, especially if you don't have that safety net that we all always want to have.
Right.
Sometimes you don't have the safety net.
Right.
But, you know, like I said, I have colleagues who were very supportive and, you know, helped steer me the right way. My family was supportive. That was, you know, helpful too. But, you know, I didn't want to put too much on me at this point in my life where I completely burn myself out, because that's where I was at.
Well, I was wondering if now, with one of the things you had mentioned was the self-care piece.
Yeah, that was my question.
And like, how are you now managing that since it's now?
A whole lot better. I actually went back to my old place of employment last week, and
You ain't going in looking fancy free. You know, somebody come back when they need a job and they be like,
I was coming from seeing a client, had my little shirt on and some jeans. I was dressed down, and they were like, "Oh my God, you look so relieved."
See? Meanwhile, they in there looking real
And and to be honest, it wasn't until I left that job that I realized how much it weighed on me. It wasn't until then, like, even to the point where it's crazy how we can be so conditioned, because like maybe 3 weeks after leaving there, I felt like something was wrong. Like, this is not what you're supposed to be doing.
Like it was unfamiliar.
Completely, but not even just being unfamiliar, but almost feeling bad, like this is not what you're supposed to be doing. And then it's like, did they take my letter to HR yet?
See,
Maybe I can come snatch it back. Cause I had those reservations too, you know, cause it's a lot. Yeah. And not to be boastful, I made a really good salary. And in that position, that's what keep a lot of people there.
Absolutely.
But when you have to choose between that money or your peace of mind, I chose my peace of mind because it drained me.
And I think at least for people who are listening, I think that sometimes we forget that, you know, that is the most important thing. Like, I understand, I'm not saying you gotta pay your bills, and I know you gotta do all that, but I feel like if God is leading you to do something different, and all He needs you to do, I'm not saying it's easy, because I'm still at my 9 to 5 child, so I can't really say. But for people that I have really good friends too who have done that, who took this, who stepped out there and said, you know what, I'm just gonna go for it. But giving themselves room to say, even if it don't work, because that was a disclaimer they had to give themselves, even if it doesn't, I'm okay with that because at least I did it. And I think we go out there thinking, and that's what it means to me to be unapologetic. Like, I'm okay with if everybody say, oh, your business ain't work out, or you had to do something, I had to take a step back. To me, you got to be okay with whatever the decision is.
Well, another thing is, I was at a point where I didn't care anymore in my position, and that's not a good feeling.
Right.
When you know you have assignments, you have deadlines you can meet, and you're just like, whatever, you know. If it get done, it get done. If it don't, it don't.
But and then for somebody who that's what your passion is, people. So once you had that feeling of I don't care, and I knew that's probably was yours.
Yeah, that was like, okay, you are definitely burnt out. Like, you know, you're not even trying to get this stuff done.
Right.
And so I never want to part an organization or a place of employment on bad terms.
Right.
I said, it's time for me to go.
Right.
Let me step back now, because I'm just completely done. Right. And, you know, I talked to some of my superiors, and they were like, well, just take a leave of absence. I'm like, no. I'm leaving all the way. Right. And I say, you know, I'm going to go out.
The boss was like, you can take some time.
Yeah, I don't think she took my resignation seriously.
Right.
No,
she'll be back.
She knows I'm going. And another thing that made it so hard to leave, I had a great staff. I really love the people that I work with.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the people, it was the machine. I had to get out of the machine. I said this was like being in an abusive relationship. And I'm like, I'm taking the Tina Turner way out this limousine. I got to go.
With the white blood
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yes, because
What you gonna do, Ike? What you gonna do, Ike?
Girl, what you gonna do?
Because I kept saying,
Just don't run across the street like she did. I don't want to see it.
for my life, had my little box.
No, I don't like the way she was running. It was too much. It was too dramatic.
That was a survival run. That wasn't
Yeah.
like.
She almost got hit by a car.
I mean, that's what I really felt that way. I did.
She was
I
running
really
home.
felt
She was
that
running the
way.
parking lot.
I really felt that way. I mean, don't get me wrong. That position is a good position. It's an impactful position. I love the children and families that I worked with in that position. And who knows down the road, but it wasn't for me right now at this time. And it's a hard decision. It's really difficult. Like I said, I wrestled with it for a very long time. And then I had other factors that was like, you need to leave. With my dad being sick, I'm like, I need to be home. I just need to be home. So, I had things that pushed me, and I just went full-fledged through with it.
I think something that's significant though, because I think you said you started it actually last year.
Yes.
So you were doing it sort of on the side.
Yes. So I started the business part-time.
Right.
Initially. So that's another thing. I didn't just put in my resignation and say, okay,
Right.
I'm about to start this business. I don't operate that way. I have to have things put in place before I move up another step, to kick it up another notch. So it was definitely steps taken, like, getting my license and holding my license. And once I got my license, I had to, apply to be credentialed by the different insurance companies. And once I did that, then I said, okay, the OMHC that I was working for part-time, I left there, went and applied for my LLC, got that situated. And once I did that, then, started getting clients. But only got enough clients to do it part-time, to say, let's see how this works. Let's see if I'm any good at this. I mean, you could say, oh, yeah, this is what I want to do, but you might not be that good at it. So once I did it, and I did it for a year, I said, all right, it's time to get this ball rolling.
Yeah.
So just, taking those steps, because you can't just jump right. Well, you could, I guess, depending on the type of business. The kind of business that I'm in, it wouldn't be wise to just jump out there.
But I think I was gonna say that's significant.
No.
That's what I said. That's significant because you already knew that the full-time piece wasn't necessarily you, but I think when you start doing things part-time, and we've talked about this before, when that part-time job starts feeling more like it could be the full-time thing, like it's taking more of your attention, it's got your excitement, you know what I mean? Like I think that helps to make the transition, and the full-time job can sort of support your transition into
definitely,
away from that.
My full-time job definitely helped set up this business. I probably wouldn't have been able to do it, not in this length of time, without it.
Because I think a lot of us
So
are
it's like you working
afraid.
full-time while working your part-time.
Yeah, a lot of us are afraid because we feel like we have to have a whole stack of money saved up before we can jump out. So
Not necessarily.
What would you say to that?
Not necessarily. If you have a full-time job and you have a passion for something, I would suggest, taking those steps needed to build up that business with your with your full-time job. Because business owners don't have benefits. Business owners, do have to have some things and have some money to start a business. You can't just start a business on nothing. So it's a good idea to do it that way. I've heard it being done when they didn't have anything. But that takes some real drive, and it takes some serious hustle. But I definitely did that. While I was working my full-time job, built up my business on the side.
So it just sounds like that there's several things I heard as far as starting it. One, sometimes you just got to jump out there, but you're saying having your ducks in a row as much as possible. Maybe not all we make ends meet, right?
Yeah.
Do your research, have a plan of action, a strategy of what you are trying to do. You tested the waters to see if this is something you really wanted to do. You wrote your resignation letters. You had that on hand already.
Yep. Looked at it every morning.
See, you weighed your options to see what this could look like and what how this could be successful, and then you just did it. And I think that to me, I think as a woman and two as a black woman, to make a jump out there like that to me speaks a lot. And I just want to let you know that I'm proud of you. I know the struggle you had going back and forth, because of course I see your sister every day, and so she's like, well, you ain't got to do you, girl. I mean, because I know right now she's the associate part of the business, but I think it literally takes a village, and so the support,
oh my goodness,
the support
yes,
you have, of course, for your boys and from your parents and all of that. And so from us, I want to let you know that we are so proud of you.
Thank
we want to
you.
make sure that you. Please, I'm not saying. I'm saying support her business if you need to be there. Right. I'm not saying just be like, hey girl, right, and having your insurance company billing her. But I mean, hey, But I'm just saying.
Go get your mind right.
Yeah, you do need to get your mind right. And I think that therapy is very important. And the fact that you promote health and wellness,
and for families,
yes,
for families.
Yeah, a lot of our families need
support the
family
business,
therapy.
even if you feel like you don't need to be there, because you're probably the one that really needs to be there.
Is that what we say? I feel like that should be a slogan. No, that's it. That's the slogan.
Write it down.
The slogan is support the business even if you don't think you're supposed to be there, because you're really supposed to be the one that's there, and make it all in the one whole circle.
No circle. Because it's really for you.
Because it's for you. The person that you're saying you need to go to therapy is really you.
Mm-hmm.
So
Boom.
I can see it.
So,
I can see the black you up with the white writing around.
Right, the whole
When she was like, I went to the doctor, I was feeling so sick, I'm feeling so bad, I'm feeling so sick. And I'm like, okay, what the doctor say? The doctor's like, oh yeah, maybe I had the flu a few weeks ago, but I'm really not, like I'm okay, it's not. And I said, no, you're tired. And she was like, what do you mean I'm tired? I'm like, she's like, I actually feel fine. I said, no, you have psyched yourself out to think that you feel fine. You keep telling yourself you feel fine. Your body is saying, no.
Right. Well, hence the reason why. Well, you told me did you go to the doctor? Did you go?
Mm-hmm.
But you know how we are, people. We like to
try to diagnose.
I said to myself,
Like I went on WebMD,
I'm about to say WebMD,
and I have this.
I said, girl, it must be a stone. When you need,
Oh,
not the black people always think they know, but they can. But no,
I'm asking, what did the doctor say?
Right. But I gotta make a real shift right now.
Okay.
Because you're a business owner. Don't look at me like that. Look at
I'm
me
like, what kind of shift we making?
No, it's not too bad. But I'm just saying, speaking of being a business owner and just the responsibility of all aspects of that business, because especially once you get to have employees and all those good things. And so I was thinking about the whole Starbucks situation and how the decisions you have to make as a company, and that's of course a large organization, but there's some decisions you might have to make, some hard decisions as a business owner. Yeah. And I think sometimes, I'm sure everybody knows by now that the two black guys who were arrested in Starbucks, and they, because the manager, whoever called the police on them saying they were loitering and they were waiting for somebody, as everyone does. I'm trying to think. It's been plenty of times I sat in the Starbucks.
That's what
Starbucks
is for.
That's what it's for. Like that is their slogan. Like, come sit down here. Even if you ain't buying that, we just want you in here. That's the slogan.
Come sit down.
That's what it says in the green thing. It says sit down here.
Come sit down.
You can even use the bathroom key. Seriously. That's what it say. So
You wind up buying something anyway.
you do buy something.
You do.
A whole $6
warm beverage
is what we buy when we going in, because we gotta get something. But I like the
those lemon loaves are good.
Aren't they good?
They're really good.
She don't get it. But my point is that so the response was everybody was outraged by the And so I was wondering from you all, how do you think that did Starbucks? First, we know the manager ain't shit. Let's just go there.
The manager was fired.
So I'm saying, do you think, as a business, how do you think Starbucks handled it?
The store.
I think
right, because that's the real question.
That's the thing.
Because that's the thing. Because everyone was saying boycott Starbucks.
No,
The
I
whole
don't think.
green
I don't
lady.
think that's.
The whole green lady.
You in the hand.
I'm sorry.
I don't think that was. I don't think that was necessary. I think the whole brand itself, boycotting the whole brand, is not necessary.
I didn't think so.
However, that particular store and that store owner,
Store throw it away.
whoever the excuse me, the person that called the police, they needed to be reprimanded. However, I want to commend Starbucks because they are completely closing down on May 29th to do a racial and cultural sensitivity training.
Right.
That's big
That's
because if you
major.
think about every Starbucks in United States
8,000.
that will be closed, do you
8,000.
know how much money that is for one day?
No, that's
When you
that's
could have
big.
just told people that they gotta come off on their off shift to just watch this video real quick, I think that's very commendable on their end.
You know the people want more.
But the thing is, I think Starbucks got a whiff of what was happening and saw how it was brewing, and they was like, we don't want these problems. So this
Literally
is
brewing.
Good one, girl.
Really. And they were like, we
Because
don't
think
want
about
these
how much
problems.
money they would lose if people really did boycott the whole
Yeah.
versus just closing
But this is
for a
one
day.
thing that kind of troubled me with what I was seeing be displayed on social media. All people. I love
We
love
go
all
too
people.
far.
I do. But no, I have a friend who made a post, and he made perfect sense when he said this. And I'm sorry, this was his exact words. It was, why do we have to wait for the colonizers to dismiss us before we will go and support a black business? Because they're all black-owned coffee shops. But they don't get the kind of following that Starbucks gets. I mean, they brew, you might be a little bit different. But, you go to Starbucks because it's probably convenient. They're everywhere. Where you might have to go a little bit out the way for this black-owned business. But we don't support us,
Let's call the thing a thing, people. Like, the coffee's freaking amazing. Okay.
No, and
So his point was,
she's saying the point.
why don't we just support our own businesses, as we see them come up? Instead, we wait for a situation
And
like
then we
this
gotta
to
go
happen,
for-
and then was like, oh, don't go to Starbucks, go to this black-owned business.
I saw that.
Kind of could have been doing that anyway.
Posts like that where it was like, because I follow We Buy Black. And that's what they were saying. Oh, now Starbucks, whatever the hashtag was or whatever. And so, no, I agree. I think that's not a reason. Yeah, something about coffee. No, yeah, somebody.
The African American community is like the biggest consumers in the country.
But
Not coffee, just consumers.
Oh,
period.
consumer. I'm like,
As soon as we,
Consumers.
no, just
I thought it
consumers.
was
Period.
Moscato.
As soon as we get, did you say Moscato? Really, Moscato?
2020.
It's jokes, y'all. It's jokes.
Lord have mercy.
There's truth in the
Man.
there's
But
truth
no.
in the jokes. There's
As
truth
soon
in
as
the
we
jokes.
get our checks, we already
Yeah, we
have it mapped
spenders.
out where we spending our money.
We're spenders.
We're spenders. We don't save. We
We're
spend.
spenders.
No,
We
you're right.
we balling out. YOLO. That's what we doing. We spend our money. So to put money back into people that look like us, or into businesses that give back would be a big thing.
No, it will be. I'm all for supporting black business.
But
But go ahead, because
we was going
But
to
it's
say,
this.
Listen, it's all it is. I'm all for supporting my people. I'm a black business owner myself. I get it. I really do. And I'm here for my people. I will support black businesses. But I will not have some
substandard.
Starbucks. Like some things I
Oh,
just
you
No.
talking
So
about-
you said substandard. You like
I
a
was
substandard.
I'm not.
Because
No,
like
I'm
the
not.
Starbucks. Not even saying
I'm not
you in
saying
general. I'm
stop
saying
going to
the
Starbucks
internet
altogether.
will do, I only shop black. I only support
Right.
black. And that's fine. And am I not for the culture? Because I'm like,
Yeah,
all right,
exactly.
I will go to the black business. I will go to the black business, get my hair done, get my nails done, get my this, that, and the third done. But I want Starbucks.
I'm not saying
I
that.
want my caramel macchiato.
I think you
with
should.
soy.
I think you should.
No whip.
I think you should
And when your
support.
barista knows your name.
Right.
I think you should support where you have good customer service. I mean, no matter where that is. However, just to step out and just try the black-owned business to see
No,
what
I agree.
what it's about. And a lot of times black-owned businesses have a just like anything else in life. It's more of an upward hill battle. Like for instance, like a black-owned restaurant, they're not going to be able to get food at the same prices like maybe a Korean restaurant might get, or a white-owned restaurant might get. So the prices might be a little bit higher at the black-owned restaurant.
Right.
And I know a lot of people are like, well, it's $2.35 here. Why is it $5 here?
Well, you know what? That's just like the nail salon. Because I remember as a manicurist, yes, I was a manicurist back in the day.
Oh, really?
I was,
You got
girl.
many talents.
Yeah. But I remember when I went to school, when I got out and started actually doing nails, that was the thing. It's like everything. The products were expensive. Everything was pretty pricey. So we had certain prices that you would charge. And then when a lot of the Asian establishments came, they would do a fill-in for $15 or a full set for $20. And so it really pretty much put a lot of black women or black, like, I don't call it real, because to me, I feel like real salons. When I say a full service salon, it put a lot of those people out of business. I mean, there were people, I'm not saying all of them, but there was a certain, like, and so when you would come in contact or meet somebody who was a manicurist who was black, you were like really excited, but then their prices were higher. Right. And so then it was like, well, I don't want that. I can go to so-and-so and get, or like if somebody, if you go to a salon, it's like, oh, I can get my eyebrows done at the salon here for $8, but this person charged, 20 or whatever. And so it's like, it is always that issue of the how much, because I mean, for real, some people just barely get $8 worth of eyebrow done. Yeah. But I mean, and like, that's all they got.
Right.
I'm just saying, that's all they
should really
got,
only
and
be
that's
like
all they
$5.
can afford. So I'm saying, I never bash somebody because they choose that. My thing is, if you go where you can afford.
Yeah. But you do necessarily be with everything.
No, it don't have to be everything.
Like I said, it could be my hairstylist is African American or black owned business or whatever the case is, and I decide that I am going to go to the Asian business to get my nails done, because after I paid the upcharge because of what her upcharge is, because she has to buy the supplies to do my hair, I want to support you and I'm going to pay the extra. I can't afford to go pay the extra for the nail tech. I can't afford to pay the extra for the makeup, person who decided to make their own makeup label. It's too much. So at some point, instead of not supporting at all, you can just find whatever niche or which one works best for you.
And that's the thing. And I agree. And I'm thinking, like, sometimes it becomes this whole thing if you're black enough. Like, I'm not black enough because I don't support so-and-so. Well, I mean, but you know that, I mean, you know how the internet, the internet has no chill. Absolutely. There's nothing everything is we already said, becomes a movement.
The internet don't give me a paycheck either.
They don't.
So you can't dictate where my money goes.
You would think they do. Well, somebody actually is getting a paycheck from the internet.
I mean, there's certain things that I've been, like, over the, since we had the Stay Woke movement, you finding out all about all these black-owned businesses. I saw one of a potato chip company that a father and 2 daughters had started. There's a black-owned toilet paper company.
Oh, I did see that.
Yeah, so it's,
I saw toothbrushes.
These places are, popping up. And I mean, yeah, you can support them, but the thing is, how do you get it?
Yes.
Where is it located? How you go about attaining these products, and then you can move forward. But I'm not gonna be mad if I can't go online and order 8 rolls of toilet paper and I need toilet paper and I go to CVS and get it or Walmart. Right. I think it's about balance. And I mean, even with like the getting your nails done, and you don't want to support people say you don't support Korean businesses, blah blah blah. They're monopolies or whatever. However, I'm gonna go where I get good service. That's right. And if this Korean woman gives me a pedicure that I love, that's where I'm going. My nail tech is Dominican, love her to death, and I'm gonna keep going to her because I like the way she does my nails and she gives me good service. So, No, it does. It comes down to that. I think at the end of the day, it is about the service you get. At least I would hope. Like, I don't know. The other thing is then access. Because some people go to certain places, that's a big part.
Like if I don't have a car, I might be going to the closest beauty supply store.
What's in my neighborhood?
Because I know there's several black-owned beauty supply stores, but they may not always be right where where you have access to them.
Speaking of beauty supply stores, I'm gonna do a little plug. Beauty Plus, right here on Charles Street.
I heard about that.
My good poet friend Quentin Latham and his wife Megan Latham
because she's a Mustang. Shout out to all my alum.
Yes. She was one of my speakers at my Vision Board event, and they have a black-owned beauty supply store.
Yes.
So proud of them. They really have everything.
And I really don't know that they're that many. Because
there aren't many.
When I lived in DC, I would drive all the way to Beltsville, because I realized there was a black-owned, and that was like a good 20-minute drive, and there was a beauty supply store like right around the corner. But I was like, I'm gonna support.
And we're the biggest consumers.
Yeah,
right.
We're the biggest consumers in that industry.
And they open 7 days a week.
Yep.
Yeah. No, you're right. I think that supporting. I think that if you have an opportunity to, if you have access to it, I think why not? But what I'm not going to do is support bad behavior. I'm not doing it. Like,
Yeah.
if bad business, I'm not doing it just because you black.
Yeah.
Like,
I
I'm not
gotta
interested.
already pay more.
Right.
And then
you want to treat me like shit?
give me
Nah.
bad
Well,
service.
here's my take on that because I had a discussion with
Ain't
a
they
couple
2
of
hours? No.
couple of business owners about that. When you're new to business, you go through the growth process. You know, there are things that you can change and you can do better. However, I think as black business owners, it'd be more appreciated if you say, this is what you're doing that I don't like, and it's something that you might need
If
to.
they would be okay.
This is
and
my-
willful, they don't even want to hear that, Jennifer.
Oh well, then that's something.
You know,
altogether
like, I'm
different.
serious. Like, people don't want to hear no criticism.
Feedback.
They just want you back. I'm giving you honest feedback. Your
Yeah, but
food was dry.
But that in and of itself
Listen,
is
this
just bad
Starbucks
business.
situation is the prime example.
I didn't want to say no name, but I'm just saying, like, somebody got to put their foot down. Somebody
I
gotta
understand.
say something.
This
All
situation with Starbucks is the prime example of the customer is always right.
It is.
They showed and proved, you know, and they
They did.
stepped up. So
All right, let me go. Okay, real quick. So then I wanted to say something about. Now, did you see? Okay, y'all don't know about the whole Tristan Thompson and the Khloe Kardashian situation.
how could you not? We
I know, right?
Living
We
under a
know
rock.
because we know everything about.
I'm
them.
under a partial. I'm partially under a rock, but I do know about this.
You know about that. See? Shout out to you.
Here we go.
I'm sorry. What now?
You just came in the room.
You just
wrong.
came in the room. What
Just
was the
came
shout
in
out
the room.
for? I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
what was the shout out
What's
for?
the shout out for?
Wow.
For what? Being a what? Man, he gotta get on the mic. The whole point. So if you don't know about the situation,
Y'all opened the door.
She just was pregnant.
There you go.
Had the baby. About to have a baby.
No, she
and
had-
these tapes.
oh, he was
right at
yeah.
the time. And these tapes came out about him sleeping with somebody else.
Okay.
Sleeping with somebody else.
Okay.
I'm giving people a background.
Good.
I mean, you
Good.
come in
So I
and
said
go
shout out
crazy.
to him.
Huh?
So
What's the shout out for?
Why not? Okay. Let me put y'all on some game. I'm trying to help y'all.
God.
Here we go.
Now I understand that this is going to upset some people. I understand.
Of course, because it's your kid.
That's what you do.
That's what it is.
That is what I do. But hear me out. Khloe Kardashian, the one who's taking all these black men, the family, is taking all these black men, making them look crazy. There's a bunch of them. They messing up a lot of lives. These ain't innocent girls. We don't feel sorry for them. Okay, first
She
of all,
ripping
yeah, the family collectively, the family.
I mean,
She
it's
has-
not often that this happens, but
Yeah,
I
she's
think Diamond King
getting
has
getting
support.
what she deserves. Okay,
Not
Don't feel
what-
sorry
not
for
that.
her.
No, I'm not feeling
Not
like
that.
Wait,
This
no.
I'm not
woman,
with
Do you agree with
No.
this woman was married to Lamar Odom. True,
Right, true.
she got mad bodies.
Yeah,
French
right,
Montana,
All right. Not
The
right.
Game,
Okay.
some random drug dealers we don't even know about.
Shout out to the game. We ain't mad at it.
Okay.
We love
My
it.
point is, she was married to him. I don't care
We
whatever
love
he was doing,
Right.
whatever
She got
he
right.
did his dirt too.
Right.
She ain't innocent. Her
No,
hands ain't clean.
No,
But what is it?
The fact.
Right, what is
With
it
the
that she
incident,
deserves?
The fact that she was
But
pregnant
the-
with his child.
Okay,
He stepped-
but here's the beauty of it. I knew you was gonna say that.
But no, I already know you
I
about to
set
go.
you up.
I already
That's
know
a
where you about to
setup. I
go.
set you up.
I already know you
I
about to go.
set you up.
We not sure what
Look at Nikki. Look at Nikki. Like,
You do understand that he was with another
I know
girl,
that.
black girl, before
Yes,
this one,
that-
and he was creeping with Khloe.
Yes, I do know that. And she was pregnant.
And she was pregnant.
Was that?
We can't feel sorry for
That was
Chloe.
It was.
I told
Chloe
you that.
was a side chick that got pregnant.
No, listen.
Wow.
Oh, now you changed your mind.
No, that's the truth. The
Chloe-
truth is that
Chloe was the side
he
chick.
literally, yes, he
And he
literally
was with
left her.
another girl.
So she said this.
And she was in
yes.
she
Well,
was
this
in
is-
her
these are
third
facts.
trimester. She was pregnant.
Yes,
These are
everybody, that's
facts.
known. It's known.
We can't feel sorry for Chloe. Come on now.
Wait a minute, no. When they first started speculating that they were together, that's why it was the big hoopla. And his father got on TV and said, "You're dead wrong for messing with this quote unquote white girl, knowing that
And
you had
he
a
was
girl
very
at home and
vocal about
she's
that.
pregnant."
He
He
was
was
very
very
vocal
upset
about
with
it.
him. He was like, "Tristan knows better. He wasn't raised that way." He leaned on him
The
bad.
quote was, "Leave my son alone."
Well, look, and
Don't
the
leave
thing-
my son alone,
But
you
the thing about it is,
So-
the reason why it was so much drama is because within the reality TV world, all of them are friends.
Yep.
Like all of them hang out. So when they showed her had her baby shower,
Wait, the
the
first baby mother.
the first baby, I don't know how many kids he got,
Well,
but I'm talking
Yeah,
about this particular one.
The one he cheated
The
with.
one he cheated on was right.
Okay.
That's why it was all that, because everybody was trying to rally around her to comfort her, because he left her ass.
So sad.
It was
So y'all feel
I
sorry
wasn't-
for who
I
now,
don't
exactly?
know. I never felt.
Well,
The
no,
children, baby.
that's
You
why
feel sorry for
I'm
the
We
saying.
hadn't even gotten there.
I'm saying
yeah,
that you have a point in, the fact that this is karma. What goes around comes around.
Absolutely.
However, I can't advocate for any woman going through that in their last trimester of pregnancy. It's just horrible
Oh, it's sad,
to
sad,
have to
sad.
experience. It's hard
Sad,
to have
sad.
to experience that, but
So
on the
sad.
other hand, she was on the other end, and it was fine for her to do it to
Oh, yeah,
somebody
what about
else. So
And here's the only thing that maybe I can agree with y'all on.
We actually haven't said
We haven't
anything for you
said
to
anything. You
disagree
just gave it on
with. You
Women
can't
women just
even.
automatically throw the dog guy
Like
under
we
the bus.
we actually haven't said anything.
And my last point is these 6 or 7 girls that he been caught with lately. One of them might be pregnant too, probably. You never
Right,
know.
you never
Because he don't like,
surprised.
man, you
Why
never know.
nobody ain't
Right.
using the condom?
that seems to be
thank
his
you.
cycle. That seems to be his
That's
MO.
That is a problem. Let's talk about that.
Money run out.
Let's
They
talk
said
about
money run
that.
out.
But let me tell you something. First of all, my issue is his butt is too big. His butt is too big. His hips are too wide. No, seriously.
I don't know
Now I need
about
to see a
that.
picture. Whoa.
You never seen him run up and down the court?
I never paid attention.
He's not that great of a
He's
basketball
not that
player.
bad. No, he's not that great. And I think now
So
that
my thing is,
That's
what
right.
does
that was just a
say-
side note.
Right. I'm like,
What
what?
does that just say about the black men? Because okay, so we all know the stereotype and the whatever about the Kardashians. We already got that, and how they lure these black men in and ruin their
Lure.
lives. And
Gary with the T gives them the business on the Ricky Smiley Morning
we
Show.
know this. So what does this say about the black
Can we
man?
stop? Can we stop on your Lord? What are they doing?
Lure the men. What do they have? Magic?
They have Kardashian.
They put a spell on.
It's a Kardashian.
I mean, clearly that's what he said. They
Sprinkling.
They take these black men, they get these black men. But my thing is, if that's the case, then what does that
Even
say
the
about
mom.
the black man?
That
Are you that ignorant? Are you that naive? Are you that like? What
They want-
is
they
it
want a
about
part of
life
life.
that you've seen?
They
these
want a
people-
part of life.
These people destroy the lives of several black bodies.
Look
that
at,
have
excuse me.
power.
Look at
But then
Kanye.
y'all keep on going in.
Look at Kanye.
Kanye look like he is in the sunken place. But
He did.
Ain't nobody concerned about that.
No,
But he's
Get
happy.
curious
Is he happy?
to see what all the hoopla is about.
Right. That's what I'm saying. They want a part of the life.
Right.
But let me tell you
Like,
something.
well, wow.
But at the same time that they want to be a part of, they want to be a
That's
part
like
of the
going to
life.
Bill Cosby house asking for a cup of coffee.
You know
And some pudding.
No,
because I just want to
be
be
drugged.
I just want to know what them drugs do.
Why ain't you done that yet? Bill, I want to wake up like.
First of all, why you coming for the elderly?
That's what I'm, no, but I'm saying that's how ignorant that coffee
That's extra shady. That's extra.
He's not exempt.
He's elderly.
Nobody.
No.
He said anybody.
He blind in both eyes.
I don't care. You saw him putting the drink in.
But that was
I saw
back
you-
He ain't
before.
miss. Did he miss?
Before.
Right.
Hold up.
He was elderly.
Hold up. Sidebar.
He said now he
Sidebar. Quincy Jones spilled the tea on.
That's what I said.
Everybody.
Anybody can get it.
Anybody.
He just was like, oh yeah, I'm like, what?
He went in on everybody.
I'm
I'm
sorry.
like,
I don't
you saying
feel-
too much.
No, but I feel very little sympathy for Khloe.
I don't feel it's not that.
And then Trish,
No, but here's the reason why I think we're talking about it is because I think that not just her particular situation, because there are women who go through this all the time.
Right.
And then my point was, and me and Kristen was talking about Carrie Hilson's response. Just she put a post, but not necessarily for, I guess, for Khloe Kardashian, but just in general. And she was saying basically why. She said, I don't want to be anybody's ride or die anymore. She said, because it seems like a lot of these niggas out here want to see who can take the most bullshit and stick around. And I'm saying, it's a game. It's like you playing with people's feelings, you playing with people's lives, they got kids involved. It's too much stuff. Also, you can get another piece of ass.
And-
I'm saying, don't be with anybody.
And also,
You know what I'm saying? Why commit to somebody?
And use a condom?
There's
One of
that
the
too.
that
Can we
too.
just use a condom?
But one
Like,
of the
I mean, I
things
don't-
that's like really concerning for me is that why do you feel like it's okay to go and start this family and leave, and then
Right.
go start this family
And
and,
then
leave,
Father saying he wasn't raised
and
like
then
that.
start
We
this
told him
family and
somewhere.
leave? It's like you are creating this army of single mothers
And fatherless children.
and none of these women that you decided to have a child with is good enough or worthy enough for
That's
you
right.
to actually sustain a family with. You feel like you're okay with just soaking your oats all around the world and having all these kids, and you can't really fully be a fully present
That's right.
father. You're not really co-parenting because
Right.
you're so divided in so many different places because you got all these damn kids.
That's right.
Like this seems to be the trend. Like Lil Wayne and what? Well, I can't say. T.I. has all his kids. I love the kind of father he is. But you know, but even still, at least he married Tiny and decided to say, oh, this is going to be our family, and this is how we're going to blend this
Right,
family
right.
together, instead of saying, oh no, I'm just going to keep having all these
So
kids.
I wonder where does that? I guess the question is where does that come from? Where it becomes not just the women involved in it, but because the women you agree to be in relation with these people, and so I think it's on both people.
I think it's a
you know.
conspiracy. I
It's a
think it was
conspiracy.
something that they put in the Similac in the 90s, because all of them
The
are
90s
off.
babies are gone crazy.
They off.
Oh, I can agree with that.
Like for real. Like just
They off the chain.
just
Like,
just
what's
their
wrong with them?
their outlook on life is just so different.
Like big Luther curl, like it don't.
But see, they used to say that. No, look, they used to say that about the '80s babies and crack babies, because it was always. I'm just
No,
saying,
really.
it used
No,
to
you're
be
right.
The whole thing about
Yeah.
the crack babies gonna be running right here, killing people,
Yep.
stabbing you, and stealing your car. Like that was a whole.
Yep.
It was a whole thing
See,
built
but
on that.
the 80s were the crack babies, but you had the 90s. That was what? Is that
Meth?
I believe so.
no.
Wasn't meth big in the 90s?
Not
Yeah,
really.
people
still on
Meth-
crack?
Meth was more
And what-
2000.
so what- I'm
Oh, the
sorry,
2000s,
what
you're
if
right.
you
Yeah, that was
babies gonna- 'cause they
2000.
got
The
on
2000
opioids.
baby. Oh
babies
my.
on opioids.
Those
No.
Beast Boy babies. I don't
What's
know.
gonna happen?
I don't know.
I'm just saying somebody got to make it. I just feel like for women, I just think that, and it's not exclusive just for heterosexual relationships.
But I think-
because I mean,
No, but I think it's more of. I feel like there's this rush for fame and rush for being linked to certain people who can sort of give you a particular life, and so people aren't taking into consideration like what
is
you were
that the
saying.
day-to-day person though?
No.
I don't.
No, that's what
but
I'm just
but
saying,
I mean,
like, I'm
but
saying
these
as
but
women
the,
as a whole,
but
like-
these women. But I'm talking about the women that this Tristan or whatever. We don't know them.
Mm-hmm.
They were the day-to-day woman.
Right.
Well,
You know
no,
what I
think
mean?
a
Like
lot
they're not a
of
Kardashian,
No, they're not a Kardashian, but they fall into the line of just from
which
what
is
I
no
see.
different than like the women, the everyday woman who might meet the drug dealer
Oh, that's
or
a
the
good point.
whatever or whoever may have.
Right.
They're doing the same thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's, I'm not saying that all men are, drug dealers, whatever, but I'm just saying, like, it's that sort of that quick life of like, let's hook
Whatever
up,
this
let's
glow
link
up, the
up.
real glow
Yeah,
up.
whatever the glow up is, we can get there quickly, but then we're not actually thinking about the basics of, are we actually dating? Are you going to stick around? Like, are we using a condom? Like, why aren't we using a, like, what?
Because I think everything about now is about immediate gratification.
That's what I'm saying.
Immediate, like right now.
Right now.
Not even thinking about the consequences of what right now is, but just right now.
But I mean, for somebody like the Kardashians they do get a bad rap. Like I used to watch them mainly for the fashion.
Yeah.
But to me now it becomes like I'm just annoyed by all of it.
I'm so over
And I'm
that.
just so over this whole thing about like they are the standard.
They have
And
found a way to
that's what bothers me.
capitalize on
Standard
this.
for what?
One thing
But
I,
no,
I'm
one
hold-
thing I
hold
won't take
on.
away
That's what
from
they're
them,
standard for, hold
they
on.
are business women. Kris Jenner bred business women. She instilled that in her daughters. They all have
they're a
businesses.
brand.
They're all famous, and none of them have talent.
They're a brand, and
They
except
are,
for except for the
Yes.
model,
Right.
Except for the one that's the model. But at least she's doing her own. Like that's
All
her
of them
thing.
are though. Like they got $1 million businesses. All of them.
Yeah, cause Kendall and Kylie got some
that makeup
little
line or whatever.
line in Walmart or something. I just saw it over there. I'm like,
They were
dang.
branding them, but I'm over them.
Yeah, I'm over them.
Like-
But I just was thinking like, my only thing was just the whole situation, and it does. And you're right. He leaving bodies all over, along with kids.
Fatherless
Like,
children.
You can basically go about your merry way, but here these women are left to raise these
That's
kids.
ridiculous.
It's-
And that's and you know you can say, oh yeah, I'm a present father, a good father, but are you really? If you
If
got
you give them money.
6 or 7 kids,
that's right.
how are you really truly invested and involved in each of one of those children's lives? Unless you are in a marriage and living with the mother, and all of them live together.
That's right.
That's the only way I can see you being an ever-present father. You live
That's
with all
right.
of these children, but if you have them all over the place,
That's right.
That's
right.
a whole nother show.
yeah.
But I do want to end on a high note
Yes.
and talk about Coachella. I wasn't there.
You mean Baychella?
That's right, girl.
Let me tell you how I was in front of the TV like this.
Going crazy. Hold on. I'm not, and I like Beyonce. I like Beyonce music and all that. But I've never been like in the Beehive.
Yeah, I'm not a part of the hive.
That's a whole, that's a world.
No,
I
no
mean,
offense to the Beehive.
No offense to the Beehive. We love the Beehive, but I'm saying that takes a level of commitment.
Get scared. And then I gotta put a disclaimer.
No, no, but there's a level of commitment to being in the Beehive.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
If you're in the
Loyalty.
Beehive, yeah, you have to. There's levels to it.
I'm
saying
sure there's
not
like a
there yet.
membership
I don't
fee.
think as a person, I'm worthy yet to
You
be
gotta
a
get
part of
involved
the
in
Beehive.
your
I haven't been
blood.
following her that long. You know what I mean?
Well, clearly after the show that
But
they
after
said,
the show-
nobody's worthy of being in the Beehive.
The show was everything. Like I watched it and I was like,
So
Everything.
let me just say that Beyonce has stepped up to give me these amazing black girl magic moments.
everything. Like
Super Bowl blew me away. I didn't think she could top Super Bowl because I was losing my mind during the halftime show of Super Bowl when I saw her perform. But this was special.
This was
This was
everything.
special for a whole nother reason because I attended a HBCU, Morgan State University, go Bears, and unless you went to a HBCU or you knew somebody that was close and they took you to homecoming, you never would get that experience. It's so magical to go to homecoming. That's why people flock back every year for homecoming to
but they don't
return
they don't
home.
give no money, but they do come back. From
Right? They might not. No, they won't do that, but they will come for homecoming. Yeah, you're right. You're right. But
No, I'm saying, how you
but
you just
but that
you're
whole
right.
that whole performance was like extra. It was
But
extra black.
But Jen, you know the what took me to a whole like when she played my song, I just lost it. I
What's your
lost
song?
when she played OT Genesis.
Yeah.
oh my god.
Listen. So listen. I have a confession.
You like
I love trap music, and OT Genesis is like one of my favorite. You know, Pusha. Every time Pusha come on, I get into a whole nother zone.
Everybody mad?
Yes!
I was in there going crazy.
First of all,
I watched the video like at least 100 times.
she
Not
took
100, okay.
that performance took me through so many emotions.
It
First,
did.
when
You
she
was-
came out with the Queen of the Nile, I was like, yes.
Because that reminded me of School Days ish. Remember when they came on stage and they had the
Yes.
you know the whole like the look, the all of that.
Then she sung "Lift Our Voice" and sang "Had Me About to Cry." I said she's singing the Black National Anthem at the whitest
Who
music
sings
festival
that
ever.
Black National
Yes.
Anthem?
Oh yes.
In general.
Beyonce.
In general.
Nobody know the second verse, but they sing the mess out that first verse. You hear me?
It's irrelevant.
And then like with the drum line, then she was stepping. I'm like, loved it.
But wait a minute though, did she not? Wait a minute, what's the part we said?
She
What
bodied
said, you suck on my balls. We was like,
Yeah. So
was
that
like-
was a bit much.
I was like, okay.
It was a bit much. But
the real thing that really got, and I was talking to Kristen about this, was that you're right. She was unapologetic about. Cause
Oh,
remember the
yes.
post her mother posted. Her mother said that she was concerned that the audience wouldn't understand it because it was mainly white.
Mm-hmm.
And she said the world needs to see this. And I'm like,
Pretty much.
I'm here for it. That
And
right
th-
there.
but
and
then-
I'm not gonna explain it to you. Go do your
You can
research.
figure it out.
but then after
man, they going.
But she kind of did that with Lemonade, and that's one of the things I respect about Beyonce is her artistry.
Yeah.
Because when Lemonade came out and she did the visual album, it was like everybody just jumped on. Oh, Jay-Z cheated on her. Oh my goodness, this, that, and the third. But
It was deeper than that.
it was so beautiful.
It
It
was.
was so beautifully
She
put
takes it to another
together,
level.
and I really loved it. And there was so many hidden meanings
Yeah.
in the videos and
Oh, yeah.
everything, and the way that people wound up breaking it down. I just loved it.
Her team, I really
Yeah,
do
whoever
What?
one day
They
highlight
are
Girl, I didn't know what
amazing.
it was.
Your team is amazing.
Amazing.
Like the way that played out on stage, the
It was
way
beautiful.
everything, as far as the lighting, as far as the
It was so
dances,
many
the
moving
costumes,
parts.
the hair, the makeup, the nail changes.
Girl, the nails.
Yes,
She changed
She
her
changed
nails.
polish.
Yeah.
Who
The post said we don't deserve her. We don't deserve her.
I'm trying to figure out when, because I'm sure they probably did a jail set real quick, because you're gonna have to. I mean,
That's the only way that happened. That's the only way. I thought about it too. I thought about it too.
I'm just saying the cubicles was in place. But what I will say about Beyonce, like I say, I've not always been like, I love her music and all that. So, but her talent, who she is as a woman, as a black woman, is undeniable. Like and you can tell we've truly evolved. She's evolved.
Yeah,
absolutely. As a woman, as a mom.
Because at one point she was. At one point she was very whitewashed. She really was. And then she making us look. First of all, she making us look bad. Somebody was posted. It was like, "This is your first performance at the maternity leave. This is how you come in the room."
You know what somebody said? This is how you look when you have proper maternity leave. When you can stay on leave.
I believe so.
Yep. You hear what I'm saying? That's what she said. And then somebody said, then somebody posted, I bet they don't even drop the coffee around her ass. What was that?
No, but then she did all of that and then announces that she's giving $100,000 to these black universities. I absolutely loved it. So awesome. I mean, I think it's easier. The people feel like it's easy to hate her because she's so good at what she does. But you can't deny her talent. You can't deny her ability to perform, and you can't deny her community efforts. I mean, a lot of people will say, "What does she do for the community?" You might need to look, because a lot of times when you're at that level of stardom, you give back, but you don't want the spotlight because you really are more so concerned about helping these people.
She's very humble, very shy. They say she's not. I mean, that's the whole thing about the Sasha Fierce and all that. That's really not, when she's not in the camera or on stage, she's just, really pretty shy.
But you don't need to be. If you're just doing your business and you're great at it, why do you need to be talking about it?
Right.
You don't.
Well,
you absolutely don't.
Exactly.
I mean, that could be a double-edged sword, because you want to at some point show that this is what you do, because this is the example you're setting, that this is what you do. Once you reach a certain level of success, you should give back, and this is how you do it. So, like, announcing that she's doing the scholarship, I'm happy she does that. But I'm pretty sure there are things her and Jay-Z do that we have no idea about.
Still mad at Jay-Z. They don't even want him on the tour, child. The people, the comments.
Oh, they're unforgiving.
Girl, hold on. The part when she was doing Drunk in Love, and they said there was a meme that said, Jay-Z asked, "Should I come out now?" She said no.
Yeah, they didn't look thrilled to see him come out at all. They're still very mad at him.
She don't let the man off the hook. Please, let it go. Oh my gosh, the people go crazy. We just don't let up, child.
No, I think they're unforgiving.
So, well, thank you, Jennifer, for joining
You're
us
welcome.
at the table.
It's always
tonight.
always a pleasure with
don't
the
forget,
side of
give your business
Shady.
info again.
Information so they know.
So yes,
They gotta get back into your business.
right. J Pope and Associates. Website is www.jpopeconnections.com. Facebook and Instagram is j.popeconnections. And the new office is opening tomorrow. Yay. Located at 1055 Taylor Avenue, Suite 203. And if you want to call to get make an appointment or either get some information, our office number is 443-279-5829.
Yay, go get your
And
mind right.
She had a real website and a real, Facebook. It wasn't like classy lady at, you know what I'm saying, like, or
actual
or
business.
Gemini popping at gmail.com.
No.
Get it. Right.
We decided to forgo that.
I'm just saying people need to know.
Yeah.
The people need to know. But
If you just need some information, or you just don't know what direction you need to go in, definitely can give us a call. I work along with other colleagues who have private practices and stuff that have different specialties. I do have a certification in advanced trauma therapy, so that's my specialty in trauma. But I also have colleagues who do sex therapy, family therapy, pretty much anything that you probably need to hone in on. I could probably at least direct you to the right path.
Well, thank you.
Hesitate to ask.
Right. So thank you. What a great show. We had a great time. Thank you, Facebook folks.
Thank you.
So we are signing out. I'm Krishna.
Victoria.
Bye, y'all.
That's Jen.
Be
Yay.
good to each other.
See you in 2 weeks.